Hello, and welcome back for some more Mechyard survival. In the last episode, we got the drill rig up and running with a basic walk cycle, gave him a little bit of armour, and did a fair bit of interior work on him, and we also made a start on the Moth, which will be our little hydrogen and oxygen tanker ship that will transport gases back and forth between the base and the drilling rig. And between episodes I have done a little bit more work on the AI systems. What have I done? I have added a broadcast controller to give us messages about every important step on the Moth's route between the two locations, so we get little updates on where he's going and what he's doing and what he's up to and his direction of travel. I have also added some timer sequences to switch the tanks on the Moth between stockpile and regular mode, depending which direction of travel it's heading in. I've done a little bit of detail work on these docking clamp type contraptions, so they now retract and deploy when it's launching and docking. And I've built one at the other end, at the docking bay, that you can just about see in the background. And I've also made a start on the storage tanks at the base, so that I can ensure this whole system actually works properly. And it actually does work pretty well now. I did a little bit of mining in the mining hall off in the distance to get a bit of ice to stick in the drill rig, to test that it all works, and it does indeed seem to work pretty well now. So I'll give you a little test run and show you how it all works. But first I'd like to take a quick moment to thank my YouTube members: Engineered Coffee, Nerio, The Great Null, Unleashed 20, CPL Shadow 3690, and Undead Crimson Knight. Thank you for all your support, guys, it's greatly appreciated. So if we head over to this control panel here, I've already loaded a load of ice into the drill rig system beforehand. And if we turn on our O2H2 generators, they will start generating the ice for us. And we just have to sit in the cockpit here and wait for the tanks to fill up. And when they fill up to 100%, we should automatically take off and head back to the base. And there we go. The Moth is now launching at the drill rig. It is now travelling to base. And then when it gets to the last waypoint, it will say that it's docking. Or at least it should do. There we go, it's now docking at base. And that's the docking clamps deploying. Like everything else, we've got a little alarm to say something is coming in, and an orange light lights up. Here we go. Here comes the Moth to land. There we go, here's lockdown, and then the tanks on the base will switch to stockpile mode. They'll drain out his tanks, and then he should automatically launch again. And there he goes, he is automatically launching and heading back to the drill rig. And he is now docking back at the drill rig. There we go, we are now locked back down and refueling once more. Okay then, now that we know the drill system works, and the fuel transport system seems to work pretty well, the next step in the plan is to get Howls' moving drill rig to follow some kind of set path and walk around unassisted and uninterrupted. And rather than just using a remote block or a task block and 1,000 different waypoints and trying to get him to just walk around that way, I have been experimenting with another idea. So over here we have got a solar powered beacon, and that beacon is mounted on a rotor so that it can spin very, very slowly. And the point of that is that over here in the cockpit of the mech we have an AI movement block and an AI recorder block. And what I have done is I've set up a relative waypoint for the drill rig that is looking at that beacon. Now, if we turn on that rotor, it'll start spinning and the AI should start following that waypoint. And there we go, he is now loosely following that waypoint. AI blocks and GPS recorder blocks tend to be a little bit fussy when you are building a walker with them, and it doesn't have full three-dimensional flight, so it won't follow it exactly, but when it gets too far away from it, it will try to reorient itself. So it won't actually walk around in a perfect circle, which is what I want. It'll have a slightly more randomized and a slightly more sporadic kind of walk pattern from all the testing I've done. And he will now just happily follow that round in a circle all day long.
Hi, I am Automaton. I work hard when my owner turns me on. I can get you some uranium ore. Just let me know if you need more. Put me on a journey through space and time, and if you want to break me, that's just fine. You don't need to supervise me. Just keep in mind I need electricity.
So, the next step in the plan now is to see whether the Moth can launch and land back at the drill rig while it's moving and while it's doing its thing. So we will jump back into the Moth and give that a little test now as well. So we're back inside the Moth, we are plodding around on the back of the drill rig, and if I swap the lights over to make it think the tanks are full, it will launch and it will fly away. So, launching from a moving object doesn't seem to be a massive problem right now. The way I've set up all of the GPS locations for the various blocks seem to be working. And now that we're docked back up at the base, we can swap the lights back over and see how well it lands on a moving target. And that did pretty well. So, we've got a lot of the pieces in place now. We've got a big drill rig that can walk and drill. We've got a transport system that can travel between the base and the drill rig. We've got an AI system that seems to work fairly well for directing the drill rig around. So, next step, we'll armour up the Moth, give it a bit more protection, and then we're going to have to work on a big transport ship. And there we go, the Moth is now all armoured up. One slight downside though was adding all of that armour has slightly decreased the manoeuvrability of it when under AI control. So I've had to add a few extra thrusters, and I've also had to slightly alter the docking sequence. So now when it engages its docking sequence at the drill rig, it will send a relay signal to both the drill rig and the solar beacon to stop the beacon rotor from turning, thereby making the drill rig stop walking. So the Moth has a few moments to land on a stationary platform, and then once it docks and connects back up to the drill rig will then send a signal back to the beacon to start the rotor again, and then it can start its walk cycle again. So we'll go through a little run of that now, and then we'll move on to the next bit. So if we engage our docking sequence one more time, and we launch from the base. There we go, the Moth has sent a signal to the relay to make the rotor stop spinning. So the mech should come to a stop. And here we go, as the Moth comes into land, it will connect up, and once it connects, the drill rig will send a signal back to the beacon, and it will re-engage its walk cycle again. Okay then, we've got a drilling rig mech that seems to work pretty well, and we've got a little tanker transport ship that seems to work quite well too. So the next part of the plan will be to sort out this little hydrogen storage depot thing that I'm building, armour this up, make this look like a proper building, and then we can do the last part of the plan, and that's to build a big old transport ship. Okay then, that's a gas depot built. So let's have a look at it then. So we've got 4 large hydrogen tanks, and for now we've got 6 small oxygen tanks. And we've got the docking computer in the middle that controls all the things that go on up there. And then we've got the slightly refurbished docking pad. And now I've made a few extra changes to the Moth to help with his flight time and maneuverability issues, so I've decided to ditch the oxygen tanks so we can focus purely on hydrogen. Because it occurred to me, I'm on an Earth-like planet with an oxygen atmosphere, so I can just set up some extractor fans connected up to the oxygen tanks on the base, so they're constantly filling up, and the Moth can just focus on bringing us hydrogen. So, now that we've got a drill rig, a transport ship, and a gas depot sorted out, the last part that we need to build is going to be a carrier ship that's big enough to pick up the drill rig and take him 20 kilometers. And this part might be a little bit tricky. I'm not quite sure how big I'm going to have to build it or how many thrusters I'm going to have to put on there. So we'll have to do a little bit of experimenting. Well then, it's time to start having a think about this carrier ship. We need to build something fairly large with a decent amount of upthrust so it can actually lift all that weight, and probably a fair few batteries to power it all. So if we head on over to the drill rig, we can have a look at what dimensions we're going to be playing with. So let's have a look. Now, realistically, I want to lift it with mag plates, and the best place is probably to grab it from here. And I want to use these big ones because I think they look cool. So we can have one grab there, one grab there. So realistically, we need a 1, 2, 3 block gap in the middle, and then those things are 3 blocks themselves. So that's 9 blocks wide, or 9 blocks long. And then over the top, I don't want to burn anything with thrusters. I don't want any dusting because I hate it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 15? 15 across, 9 long. Okay. Well then, that's our basic little carrier ship sorted out for now. I have called it the Atlas, as in the Moth, to stick with the Moth theme for these flying ships. It's got a pretty basic setup at the moment. It's just thrusters and mag plates and a few solar panels to give it a little bit of a boost. I've not set up with any kind of connector or docking apparatus yet, because I just want to get this little project finished. So we'll jump into the cockpit and we'll see if we can get this thing to lift the drill rig. Okay, so we'll activate the control systems. We'll unlock the landing gear. Got plenty of lift, got plenty of pitch, maybe a little bit too much. Rolls a bit meh, but that's to be expected with the width of its wings. We've also got a downward facing camera, so we can see where we're landing and what we're doing. Go, we are locked on. And we are lifting. And we've got about 25 minutes worth of flight time, maybe 27. Okay. That's not too bad. We can turn. We can lift. Stop fairly quickly. Right, well that was a decent little test. It can lift it, it can move, alright, for the purposes that we need it for the moment anyway. It'll be fine. So, cool. I think we're ready to go with this. So, last little bit, we'll grind down that solar beacon and we'll pack all the bits away with us and we'll take it all up to the ice lake and get this all running up for real and see how well it works. Well then, that's the solar beacon ground down and packed away and blueprinted, so let's get this show on the road. Batteries on, systems on, landing gear unlocked. Okay then, we are locked down. Let's see if we can make it to that ice lake. Well then, we have made it to the ice lake. So, it's time to get this operation up and running. So I've prepared a battery and a projector so we can get this solar beacon up and running as quickly as possible. And then we can test to see if this whole thing actually works the way I'm hoping it will. So, let's get welding. Okay then, that's the beacon all set up. So now we can go over to the drill rig and turn on its AI and see if this all works properly. And I've added a few extra little features to the back end of the drill rig. So if we go over here, press this button, we have a little access lift so we can get to it from ground level. Climb up that ladder and can press that button, and away we go. Well, there we go. He seems to be doing a pretty good job following the waypoint. And his automatic stop and start system seems to be working as well too. Because I've set him up with another set of event controllers to look at the ice storage level and the gas storage level. And both of those controllers are set to deactivate the warp cycle, the drill cycle, and the AI control when either of them get full, and then when they drop back below the threshold, it'll restart again. So those tanks are filling. That ice storage is filling a lot faster than I thought it would be. It's possibly filling a little bit too quickly. But, yeah. The drill rig seems to be working then. He's sending and receiving the signals properly, so it's stopping the beacon rotor when it needs to, and starting it again when it needs to. So I think we'll head back to base, and we'll activate the Moth, and we'll get him flying over here and transporting this hydrogen for us. See you in a bit, drill rig. Right then, let's jump into the Moth and get this going. Right then, we need to make a new series of waypoints for the Moth for his journey to the Ice Lake. Okay then, we have arrived at the drill rig. So let's engage that drill docking sequence and see how he does. Okay, we're locked down. Fantastic. Our tanks are filling pretty quickly, so we should be launching again in a second. if all goes well. And there we go. Right. The Moth has launched. And he is travelling back to the base. Let's see how well this works.
Hi, I am Automaton. I work hard when my owner turns me on. I can get you some uranium ore. Just let me know if you need more. Put me on a journey through space and time, and if you want to break me, that's just fine. You don't need to supervise me. Just keep in mind I need electricity.
And there we go. I thought we weren't going to make it there for a second, but we landed okay in the end. So, our tanks are going to drain out pretty quickly again. And then we should launch back to the drill rig again. There they go. They are empty. And we are making our way back once more.
I can perform so many tasks. If you need help, don't be afraid to ask. If anyone tries to ruin your day, give me a turret, I can make them go away. There are lots of pirates in space. I will guard you. You will be safe. I can fly your spaceships too. 1, 2, 3, let's land on the moon.
Right, well, now that we know that that can dock and launch and do all that stuff pretty well, I'm going to make a few little adjustments inside the drill rig. Okay then, some of the adjustments I've made. I've added a couple of extra O2H2 generators to get through this ice. It's been building up a little bit quicker than I was expecting. And I've also added a few more hydrogen engines to help with the power consumption of the extra O2H2 generators and the extra batteries on the Moth when that makes its way back. There we go, the drill's automatic walking and drilling seems to work. I've reduced it down to 2 drills so that he actually gets to walk for a little bit longer. 4 drills was digging up too much ice far too quickly. I think that works a little bit nicer now. And there he goes, he's automatically stopping again. So there you go. Seems to be working quite well now. And filling quite nicely. The Moth's doing pretty well, doing his little routines back and forth. He should be back any minute now. Oh, there we go. The Moth should be back any moment now. The docking pad has deployed. So, I just gotta wait for him to appear. And there we go, he is back again. Fantastic. Right then, we've got ourselves a decent little drilling rig system. We've got a drilling platform that can walk around and drill and do all the things he wants to do by himself. And we've got a little gas transport ship to fly back and forth and do all the things he wants to do by himself. So I think in the next episode, we will make a start on our plans for heading up to space and getting some uranium. So, thanks for watching, and goodbye for now.